Okay, so I want to talk a little bit about trees and their value. That is a really important aspect to understand. So, trees are important because they provide shelter and resources, and they also influence the weather of a place, which I'll talk about in just a minute. An acre of trees produces enough oxygen for 90 people. 90 people. According to the 2015 Soil Atlas, we are losing 13 million hectares of forests every year. And to give you a little bit of an idea of what is a hectare, so 13 million hectares, okay, so a hectare is about 2 times the size of a football field. So if you took the football field at Ballard and you made it twice that big, that would be 1 hectare. And we're losing 13 million of those every year. Forest and climate. So forests protect fragile land. They influence weather patterns. Those roots keep the dirt in place. They prevent erosion into stream beds. They protect watersheds that way. They make it possible, for example, for salmon to be able to survive. A lot of relationship between deforestation and the quality of our rivers here in the Northwest. And increasing temperatures are related to forest loss. So why is this? How does this work? Like, how do trees do this magic? Well, trees move water in the forest. Okay, and the way that they move water in the forest is that's because they absorb water from their roots, and then the majority of this water, I'm talking 98% of the water that goes into the plant, comes out of the plant through evaporation from the leaves. And this is called transpiration. And it's like a continual movement of water through the tree. And most of the tissue inside of a tree is dedicated to the movement of that water. So if we're looking at this picture here, right, and we're looking at all of this part here, this is all tissue for moving water. Okay, so this is all tissue for moving water. This water helps maintain rainfall patterns in a forest because it puts the moisture back up into the air where it then can recondense and fall again as rain. And so when you start cutting trees down in a place, one of the things that happen is you reduce moisture in the air and you can end up with something called desertification. So we live very close to a temperate rainforest, which means it is a cool weather rainforest. So the Olympic Peninsula, which is right over here. So we're over here in Seattle. We're right here. So this is less than 100 miles away, and you can see 180 inches per year. So right smack in the middle of the Olympic Peninsula is an area of incredible amount of rain. Now, in a tropical rainforest, you can actually get higher amounts of rain because warm air can hold more moisture. Um, and the trees that live here are huge trees. So there's this relationship between the amount of rain that's there and the trees that grow there and how they're able to grow there because they're part of this whole incredible water cycle. Um, Ahmedabad, India. So India is a country where they have cut down a tremendous amount of their trees, and they see the result of this in what their weather patterns look like, and of having increasingly hotter and hotter and hotter years. In 2016, in Ahmedabad, which is a city right over here, so there's the Great Thar Deserts right here, so it's right over here. It was 125 degrees, which meant it was so hot that the pavement was actually melting there. And I have been to Ahmedabad, and there are very few trees in that city, and it adds to the amount of heat that's in the city. So, world deforestation. So, I want to show you a big global map of world deforestation. And so, the places that are in brown are where we're seeing greater deforestation, right? Some places we don't have any data for, and some places are already desert. So, like up here, this is already naturally occurring desert. So, if you look here, there is a lot of deforestation happening on this side of South America and also on this side of South America. And the reason why I'm pointing this out is because watch the next slide. The number of displaced people and armed conflict. So these circles here, these green circles, are showing you armed conflict, right, where people are fighting each other. And then this color here is showing you the darker the color, the greater the number of people who have had to move out of their home because of conflict. So very often there is this direct correlation between degraded land and then what happens politically and socially in a place. And I really want us to think about that, and how that then operates on a global scale of where people are moving from because their land is being degraded for purposes of commerce, and then where are they then forced to move to? Okay. Forests and watersheds. So we are the Cedar River watershed, and this is a little short video if you want to go and watch it later. Is the forested area that belongs to the city of Seattle for our water, and that area is really pristine. And it's showing it right over here in the lower Cedar River Basin. It's about 30 miles from Seattle, and that's where our water comes from. So trees and health, many medical substances come from trees. Taxol, which is the most common treatment for breast cancer, comes from the yew tree. Trees are also used in all other kinds of industries. So of course we know it's used in construction and paper, but it's also used in fabric. If you've ever bought anything with rayon in it, rayon is made from cellulose, which comes from trees. So some deciduous native trees in Washington State. Deciduous means you lose your leaves. So this first one here is the big leaf maple, which is Acer macrophyllum. And then we also have the paper birch, which is Betulia papyrifera, and red alder, which is Ulmus rubra. So this is the paper birch here, and this is the red alder here. And all of these lose their leaves in the fall. You've probably seen this tree because it's got really big leaves. Some evergreen trees in Washington State are the Douglas fir, Pseudotsuga menziesii, western hemlock with the Tsuga heterophylla, and the western red cedar. And these two get really huge. This one, the western red cedar, is the largest diameter tree species in the world. Sequoias grow taller, but western red cedars grow wider, and they are gigantic. And we're done.